What's up, party people? What is this, episode 490 of the Turnbuckle Throwbacks? First one of the new year. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. If you're watching this on YouTube, I apologize. I have the glasses on because I was reading some shit. And I'm tired from reading because I was actually in class for a couple hours today. I'm interning to become an instructor to teach EMT students. So it was like my first day. I didn't want to mess up, so I was there early and reading stuff and making sure my protocols were good and stuff like that. So doing that and just prepping maybe for a future gig. You know, it's so weird. It kind of inspired me to do this today because I've been uninspired to do anything since the last time I did an episode was right before Christmas last year, and then I got really sick for like a month and a half. I had a UTI, I had borderline pneumonia, I had so much double ear infection, like stupid shit, but I was wrapped up and exhausted. So then February came and I just lost interest in. I had stuff written down, I had stuff planned. I was gonna do a Hulkamania 40th anniversary. I had a Saturday Night's Main Event I wanted to do. I still might do the Flair Steamboat thing for Wrestle War. It's the anniversary of the three matches. I guess 20, 35 years, whatever it is. I forget. But there's so much that's gone on since I've not done an episode, right? You had the whole Vince thing with the scandal, and he's gone, and Punk jumping ship and then getting hurt. The Rock shit now with the Bloodline. AEW doing some fantastic stuff with and then Sting obviously retiring last week. I watch every week. I don't watch Raw for obvious reasons unless it's after an event, and even then I skip through and shit, right? I'll watch SmackDown because I'm basically home on Fridays. Thursdays I come in, I catch my early day from work, I come home, I put my cousin Richie on. By the way, Spanning the Globe every Thursday with my cousin Richie and Mark and his crew, and it's a good watch. That whole belt, that subculture of championship belts collecting, that culture it's intriguing to say the least. Just the whole process just to get stuff made and aftermarket stuff, what the guys are buying, what to look for, and it's such a lot of it. Every time I listen, I watch every Thursday night. I'll put Ring of Honor on the TV and mute it, or I'll put Impact on, or I'll catch up on New Japan, and I'll watch my cousin and his crew, and just the stuff that goes on is just it's so fascinating, But this is why I love the community, and I met so many friends in the community because of the podcast, and I'm very thankful for that. So I keep saying I'm sorry for not doing a show, but I don't want to do it half-assed, and I don't want to be that guy. So losing my co-hosts, is no longer an excuse. I should, shit or get off the pot. I should try to get either don't do the show or get new co-hosts or do it by myself. I mean, I always have options. This is what it is. I'm doing this almost 12 years. So I don't really, I'll always have an audience, and I'm super blessed for that, right? So I was uninspired to record. I love wrestling. It's in my DNA. Mania is 40 years old this year, and I got real nostalgic recently with some people, and I was like, that's my wheelhouse, man. I was 11 years old that first Mania. My Aunt Joanne getting the VHS tape from her coworker who lived in Long Island in the suburbs here in New York, because we didn't have cable, and they recorded it, and then I sat in her living room one day after school, and I was like mesmerized by this event, and I was almost 2 years in watching wrestling. But now it's 40 years old, and I'll be in Philly Mania weekend. I'm not going to Mania though, but I'll be at a ton of events, and probably the con too. I think that's what the boys are talking about. We got like 5 shows we're going to, some Joshi shows and GCW, and I think Rob Feinstein's promotion, Battleground. Well, I think he's involved in it or he runs it. I forget, but it's at the arena, so it's like when in Rome, you know. But I love wrestling, and I'm still, even though the rant is no longer a thing, I'm still with them every day, and the Wizards are still doing their thing, and we have a whole bunch of peers that are still doing their thing, and I'm very grateful. But for me, it's just I'm in transition, working on a second career, trying to keep my hobby, trying to stay busy, because I've had a lot of downtime, a ton of downtime, and I just refused to record. I just didn't want to do it. But I've had so much downtime that I'm almost guilty that I didn't do anything. So I'm going to put this on YouTube, and then we'll probably convert it to an audio file, make it an episode so you guys can download it. You know, who wants to watch me talk for an hour or a half hour, whatever it is. So, you know, it's like a State of the Union, State of the Podcast, I guess. And it's like, you know, the card's subject to change. You know, it's how wrestling is. But there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of great stuff going on. And I think in every major fed, even like the indies, there's really cool shit going on. There's something for everybody. And the options are always there. I'm also turned off by like the negativity on social media. There's a lot of people like who are not nice on social media. Like I forget what happened. They went after like they go after people like personally, like they go after their families. Like it's insane what fans will do to get noticed on social media, right? Maybe because I'm old now, but even if I was 20 years old, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can allow myself to be that kind of person. It's ridiculous, you know. But yeah, so a lot of cool stuff. A&E's got the whole rival thing going on. That's great. I love that. There's new ones tonight. I saw the Sarge one last week. Dark Side of the Ring is back. The John Tent episode is awesome. If you don't know John Tent's stuff before he was Earthquake, look him up. You know, yeah, I just there's so much that went on since I've been absent that you know I mean I have strong feelings about strong opinions I should say about some of these things. Like, you know, I don't get wrapped up in like the rating shit. I don't get wrapped up in what's better, because every Fed's got their thing. Like every Fed is either failing at something or they're really, really, really good at something. And you have to understand too, it's like it's the perspective of the fan. There are fans who just there's one person that we're cool with, that this person will go online and will post real hateful memes and videos about how bad AEW is. That, and they're very liberal, so they're anti-Trump too. So it's either they hate Trump or they hate AEW, and I'm like, you have too much free time on your hands to really. First of all, that hate thing is, I don't like that word. Like, I used to use it a lot, but it's like, I don't hate people. Like, I hate things. Like, I don't hate people though. As a fan, you should find fault with everything, right? Like I complained last week about the 5-hour AEW pay-per-views that they have. You know, you mean to tell me it takes fucking 5 hours to have 9 matches? That's including the pre-show. But this is what they do. Like, it's almost like it's old hat now, you know? So either you watch it or you don't watch it. You know, the stuff with the bloodline. Either you watch in WWE, whether you watch it or you don't watch it. Cody's story, you watch it or you just don't watch it, dude. No one's gonna fault you for not watching or watching something. Like it's to each his own, right? I don't, it's and it's very passive aggressive of me to say that because I watch everything. Why would I limit myself? Like I'm a sports fan. I have my favorite sports teams. But when my sports teams aren't playing, am I going to stop watching? There's some people who do. That's the casual fan. That's wonderful because I talk to casual fans about sports and wrestling all the time. And the casual fan is the fan that you like to interact with because they don't know what's going on. They don't follow other teams or other feds or other things. It's like, I'm only a Met fan. I'm only a Yankee fan. I'm only a Knicks fan. I'm only a Jets fan. Like, but they don't follow the other divisions or the league. But it's like, you don't have to. You don't have to be a nerd like me, But that's what makes the world go round. Opinions. I mean, opinions are like assholes, right? Everybody has them. Some of them stink. Doesn't give you the right to shit on somebody else for their opinion, Just a PSA, You just try to keep it light now on the social media handles. I can't really get into all that stuff. I don't have the energy. I really don't. Like mentally, I don't have the energy to justify why I like or dislike something. I don't have to. You know what I'm saying? Neither do you. Neither does anybody. So with that being said, I really hope everybody's doing well. Some of you talk to me all the time, and some of you don't. This is part of life. The people I don't talk to normally, I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you guys are healthy and happy. I hope your families are good. I hope your lives are good. I hope everybody's surviving in this inflation. I call it the inflation sensation. I call it I'm not gonna get political, but like everything's expensive now, especially here in New York. Like I paid $9 for a fucking tub of butter. Like the giant size. I'm like, oh, thank God I only replace this every couple of months. But hope everybody's surviving, And no matter what part of the coin whatever, what party you root for and who you're voting for in November, I just hope it all works for the country, whatever way we go. But yeah, so I'm excited about what's going on with wrestling. I'm excited about spring training. Baseball's coming. Hockey playoffs are coming. Very excited about that. Still in my strat league. I got my draft next week. My team was terrible this year, so I got the number one pick. I don't feel that bad because like the number one pick, the guy who finished next to last, it was only like 2 or 3 games. So I wasn't terrible. I was like, we played 56 games. I think I won 20 games. And I think he won like 23 games or something like that. I forget. But so I have the number one pick. So I'm doing my draft prep. Do I draft the best player available or do I draft a need? Right? That's the big deal. I was having this conversation with Will just now about that on the phone. Like, what do I do? I'll figure that out. I got a whole week now, another week to figure that out. So, weather's getting a little warmer here in New York. A lot of rain, no snow again this winter. We had a couple of snow, but nothing, again, no significant snowfall. This is like a couple of years, so we've been really lucky. Today was the spring ahead, daylight saving, so everybody's going to complain about the hour of sleep they lost this week. This happens every year. People, I get to work tomorrow. Oh, I'm so tired. I lost an hour of sleep. I was watching the UFC fight last night, and I fell asleep like at 10:30. I was like, as soon as it started, I was so happy because I don't watch. I'm a very casual UFC guy, but the main event I wanted to watch. So I'm in bed. I set up the gimmick. I'm messing around on my phone, and I'm waiting for this. The first match comes on. By 10:30, I'm asleep. I woke up to go to the bathroom. It was over already. The whole thing was over, like 1:30, whatever it was. But before I went to bed, I turned the clocks ahead, like lose an hour, gain an hour. It's all bullshit. It's all in your mind, you know. Started doing some spring cleaning, even though it wasn't spring yet here. A lot of things get cluttered. Like I live in a 1 bedroom apartment, so I had to purge a lot of shit. Um, and what I did was I bought storage, and because every time my mom would come over, she'd be like, "You have a dining table?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's like a little bench in the corner I have here." And she's like, you don't even use it for dining." I'm like, "No, I play Strat on it." I use my dad's fucking 30-year-old snack trays that I eat my dinners on. She's like, "Well, it's not. It doesn't look." And then the more she said it, the more it annoyed me. She doesn't come here very often, but when she does, she makes it known to me that it's aesthetically not fit. It's not looking good. So finally, I got my balls twisted. I bought storage, and I did that. And just trying to be a little cleaner. After being sick for like a month and a half, I'm trying to be better in terms of my diet. Not this weekend. I pigged out this weekend, but moderation. I'm trying to like eat less. Trying to watch what I eat. I had to get my teeth cleaned like last week, was it, or a week before? And I was in so much pain afterwards. Like, wow, this guy, we have a lot of tartar. I'm like, oh. So now I'm like fanatically brushing my teeth now a couple of times a day, just making sure I don't fucking have to go through that again. I'm like, oh. And it's like, oh, we found 2 cavities, and one of them we might, if you let it go, we'll need root canal. I'm like, I shouldn't be pushing 50 and need cavities. I need to like slow down and take better care of myself. That's the thing too, man. If you're a little older, don't let things go. Just address them. Seriously, like anything medically, address it. Especially if you're older. Even if you're not, if you're over 40 or you're hitting 40 and and you don't go to a doctor normally, go get a checkup. Seriously, get a checkup. Too many people. I just lost a friend. We talked about losing my buddy last October, and there was nothing wrong with him. Like until he got sick, but he wasn't a guy who went to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't that dude. That's just how he was though, and it doesn't make it. It's not an excuse really. I'm not trying to stick up for him, but like this is the problem with the world. Like no one addresses anything until it gets bad, and preventive maintenance. It's almost like when you have a car, and it's an older car. So you make sure your oil is changed, your tires are good, your fucking fluids are in there, right? Your body's the same way. Your body's like a car. It's going to break down. So preventive maintenance, man. Like, it sucks being a grown-up. It really, really does. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just how it's been. And I'm just trying to be positive, Seeing my therapy sessions doing more of that, and I'm just working on my well-being, my mental health, which is really important because I struggle with that a lot for various reasons. But I started doing it more, switching spots where I was doing it. I'm doing it somewhere else, and it's worked out. So where I'm like, I feel much better about things that I'm approaching. That's another reason why I'm doing this today, because I feel better talking about certain things, But I want to keep doing the podcast. I don't want to stop doing it. I was thinking about doing it every 2 weeks. If I do it alone, or maybe auditioning for a new co-host. The problem with the co-hosting, besides me missing my yin and yang with Choppy and then Jay and then both of them, right? Like, I feel like the person I do it with, I don't want to say I held my guys to a standard and we kept it going for so long and then life happened. Not to say that's going to happen again. That would happen to anybody because, these guys are young. They're younger than me. They got married and they got kids and Choppy's industry fucking was on strike for a hot minute, so like he's looking to get dough. Like he can give a shit about the fucking podcast, right? So I didn't want to go through the whole thing of holding people to a standard and be like, getting disappointed again. But that's just part of one of the things I'm working on with me. Like, you know what? It's not all about you. Other people have shit going on. So, and rightfully so. Like, who am I, right? Fucking nobody. Fucking fat kid from Queens doing a podcast. That's all I am. So that's gonna be on the agenda. Because I have so many things I want to talk about. I've gotten some footage and I found DVDs in storage that when I was cleaning that I found so many things that I could talk about now. And I have like raw footage. I don't have to go on Peacock where it's cut up and the music's different and all this other shit. I have like the original stuff. I was getting a VCR repair to play some VHS tapes that I have, but the piece that I could get, they couldn't fix it or whatever it was. So I'm going to do that, maybe get a VCR, and play some of these tapes, So as I'm sitting here lounging, what else is going on? What else can I like I said, it's been a deal. I don't, part of me feels terrible about not doing it, and part of me doesn't. Like, part of me feels like I've been doing it for so long, and for free, by the way, like, even like Don Tony came back with Kevin Castle while I was on a little bit of a hiatus. So those are my guys, those are my mentors. So I'm happy that they hooked up because Kevin's very active on social media. So is DT. So for them to come back, like, this is what our community needs. We need voices like that, but just voices that'll, even if they're biased, they're respectful about it. And I think that's another difference too with people. Like, they have a bias to a certain fed or a certain league or a certain performer, right? But they don't use common sense when they talk. Like, they'll be vulgar about it, and they'll be obnoxious about it, and they'll disrespect people who don't agree with them, and you see this all the time. And you're like, I don't have the energy. I saw our buddy John Draper. He was online the other day, and someone really said something to the point like, well, his family must hate him. Like, something like, you're insufferable. He called John an insufferable cunt. So that in itself, that word, that's not used here in the States a lot. So it's got to be an overseas person that did that. You're an insufferable cunt, and your family must hate you. So I immediately was like, whoa. And I was going to, I was ready to type something, and then I stopped and I deleted it. And I was like, what does his family have to do with anything that he's talking about? He's talking about professional wrestling. His family is not involved in what he does extracurricularly. His family doesn't podcast with him. His family doesn't post about wrestling. John's got to be, if I'm almost 50, John's like at least a couple of years, 4 or 5 years older than I am. But him and Kev are they're like the OGs of this shit, So whether they're wrong or they're right, indifferent, doesn't matter. It's just, you learn to respect other people's opinions. You don't have to like them. You definitely don't have to agree with them. But to say shit like that, oh, your family must hate you. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you? It ain't that serious, man. It's wrestling. It's wrestling. It's beautiful. I love wrestling. I had some of the boys over last week for the pay-per-view for AEW, and we were talking. And I was complaining about the length, though, like I said before, right? And my one buddy was like, dude, get over it. They've been doing the same thing for the last 4 or 5 years. It's what they do. Get over it. You were at a pay-per-view that was 5 hours last year. We went to the one that was in Newark. Get over it. He's right. I'm over it. Maybe I'll complain about it next month again. I did complain about the schedule though. Like they can't like if you're gonna do a bunch of events, do a monthly. Don't do two in 1 month and don't do 2 in 3 weeks. Like do a monthly one. People were complaining about the buy rates. The buy rates are like between 1 and 200,000. I don't have the exact numbers. I don't care. Because wrestling in a whole is not as, I don't want to say popular. It's not as mainstream as it was 25 years ago, where it dominated television, where it was the focal point of a certain night of the week. It's not like that no more. Even if you did have the same shows, even if these two guys were competing on a certain night, I don't even think that would be an issue anymore. The ratings would flip flop in terms of what was going on. You know what I'm saying? Like just my opinion, I don't think it would be as insane. Like 2 million people were viewing every week 25 years ago. I'm watching Raw and Nitro, and then I'm flipping back and forth between commercials, and then at 11 o'clock, at 11 o'clock, I'm recording Nitro because I want to watch the whole thing because they replayed Nitro, they didn't replay Raw. But TNT would replay Nitro, and I would tape Nitro, and I would have both shows. I was taping Raw, but I was flipping back and forth. So if you look at some of my videotapes, it's just me flipping the channels in between commercials. Getting the full Raw, but not getting the full Nitro. Doesn't mean I like Nitro more than I liked Raw. I just like what was going on a certain week, whatever, and I was just flip-flopping. I love... There's so many cool things that are going on, though. Like, Eddie Kingston's killing it right now. Okada's now there. Ospreay is now in AEW. We're seeing a transition with certain character building, with certain guys. I do like what they're doing with Gunther and WWE. I like what they're doing with some of it with Cody. I'm not, they had to get. That's why they have it for 2 nights now. For these reasons, you can have these little mini feuds to lead up to a bigger match, and now you have 2 nights. So, and I'm kind of like contradicting, because I'm like, I'm all about the story. You guys know that, right? Like, tell me a good story. And then there are nights where I'm like watching AEW, and I'm like, I don't give a shit about the story. This match is incredible. There's no rhyme or reason to this match. They just put it on for the sake of putting it on, and it's fucking phenomenal, right? So, like New Japan's in transition now. What's going to happen? No one knows. They lost a lot of guys. They gained some guys. Ziggles is there now. He's a champion. Matt Riddle's there. He's a champion. Jack Perry, he's terrible, but he joined, he's basically in Bullet Club now with the House of Torture. A great value Raven, I called him the other day. But transitions, trends, certain things that that are allowing talent to showcase somewhere else. Excuse me. But yeah, and I like. It depends on the person, obviously, the performer. I like the progression, like I'm not into Joshi, but I'm going to a bunch of Joshi shows. I don't follow any of the storylines, but a lot of those girls are real talented. So for me to sit through a 2-hour show live, I know I'm going to get entertained. If I knew some of the stories, which I probably will by the time I get to Philly, I have something to look forward to. it's almost like when I was a kid reading a storyline of a comic book, especially with Spider-Man. Like, there was the Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man. There are like 4 or 5 different Spider-Mans. But if there was a story that I liked, I couldn't wait till the next month. Couldn't. Or you couldn't wait for Saturdays when you were a kid for WWE, WWF, or NWA 605 on a superstation if you had cable, right? Or if you're in the Midwest, you had AWA, which, every region had good shit going on. Texas with the Von Erichs and WCCW. Every Fed had something significant, and you couldn't wait to get that next week. And even though some of that is missing now, it's still the basis to what's going on now. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning, but yeah, you look forward to it, and even just now with the pay-per-views, like it's like we get the big four at the E, but when AEW for us with AEW, it's just the crew getting together. Everybody comes here, we get food, we make a deal out of it. It's an event because we know AEW is going to come correct when it comes to some of their main events on these pay-per-view shows. Like you're going to get quality with WWE, with the Survivor Series or SummerSlam or Mania or the Rumble. You're going to get something significant, and it's awesome. I loved that I'm this age and I'm still looking forward to it. I love that I can pick and choose who I'm going to invest emotionally in. I may not buy all the T-shirts no more. I may not go to all the events anymore, but I'm there every week watching. And if I'm not watching it live, I'm streaming it or I'm downloading it somewhere. So to make it an event is very cool. That's what I like about it, with the crew getting together and everybody's excited, and And Mickey said something. Mickey the Greek said something the other day. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up because we were talking about the 5-hour pay-per-views. And I was complaining about it, but Mickey said something. We have a group chat. Where is it? Let's see. I want to pull it up because we do a lot of nitpicking as fans. We do. All of us do. Because we like what we like. If you're a fan of a sports team and they're not doing the right thing, you pick and choose and you're like, all right, they got bad defense, their coach is terrible, they're not hitting, they're not shooting the puck more, they're not throwing the football more like it. So Mickey wrote, and I'm going to quote him, and he said, I tried to stop myself from nitpicking and enjoy the shows the best I can. Because honestly, it distracts me from other stuff going on in my life. I can watch this with good friends like you guys, so it's a net positive for me. So he takes the experience of being with us as him forgetting about nitpicking. A lot of times my glass is very pessimistic. It's a lot of times with wrestling, so my glass is always always half empty. But I'm learning to patience in everything because I feel like I don't have enough patience. You know, back in the day, it took sometimes a year to build guys up. You know, but back then it wasn't as advanced as it was now, and there weren't any live TV every week. There was all taped, house shows and stuff like that. So, what do? Do what Mickey did. Enjoy it. And I've said this for years. I can watch a terrible event on TV, or a terrible episode of whatever episodic shows are on weekly, and even if the booking is bad, I'll pick something good out of it, whether it's a promo or a good match, or a run-in, or a bad finish, or a dusty finish, or a cliffhanger. You know what I'm saying? Like I can adjust, and I love that. That I could still emotionally invest like that. So, for me it's fun. For me it's fun, and I just don't know when that those come. It's few and far between. Like there's certain guys I'll invest in, certain girls I'll invest in, and I'll always invest in them, even when they have shitty characters or they have shitty matches going on. At the person they're with, at the program they're doing is bad. Like I'll give you an example. I love Adam Cole, but I don't like what's going on because A, he's not on TV, he's hurt, and B, um, it just feels like what he had at NXT. It's just like you know. But I love all the guys he's with. Like I love Roddy, I love Mike Bennett, you know. Wardlow I do like. I liked him when MJF was giving him a hard time. So I guess when MJF comes back from being beat up, maybe hopefully with that'll come to a really good head and justify the loss I'm feeling for that particular stable, right? Like in New Japan, like Bullet Club. I was having this conversation with the boys. Bullet Club really got some bangers in their crew, but that House of Torture sub faction is fucking horrendous, and they got good talent in there, but it's horrendous. It all they do is cheat, and they don't even tell good stories about it no more. So if you're gonna cheat every match, at least do the right thing and build something with it. Cheat for a reason. I think that's why I liked heels growing up too, because like those guys were so talented, they didn't have to cheat, but they did because they were heels. So you almost expected them to do something stupid, but then you also expected them to finally fall to the hero. That was the disappointment of guys that win titles all the time. Like when Hogan was on top, Hogan was on top. I remember thinking, wow, maybe Terry Funk can beat him when Funk fought him, or maybe One Man Gang, or Stud, or Bundy, or in my case, Orndorff. I love Paul Orndorff. Like these guys were all talented, and you thought they were gonna beat him, but they never beat him, and rightfully so, because it was the thing to do. Hogan was on top. Hogan was the man. But when you're 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, you're like, maybe he should win a title. Maybe I wanted Bundy to win. So I wanted Bundy to win at 2, and I wanted Andre to win at 3. But it didn't make any sense if they did, right? But looking back, it was something to look forward to, and these guys built themselves up. Like it's funny how Bundy went from being the main event at WrestleMania 2 to squashing little people at WrestleMania 3. Like that whole year, that calendar year, he went from a main eventer to a mid card guy. Like that's what happens back then, Looking back, you're like, oh wow, I didn't think of it like that, but yeah, So there are a lot of guys that fell off, and not because they were bad, just because of circumstance or because of the booking and who they were bringing in, who they weren't bringing in, who left, who didn't leave, who got in trouble, didn't get in trouble. Like it's that kind of party, Stuff that you learn now as an adult when you watch all these shoot videos and you read all these books that wrestlers put out now. I wasn't there because of A, B, and C. Like when I asked Dan Hansen why he beat up Lex Luger and took his title but then never came back, I didn't know his wife was pregnant. I didn't know until he told me, until him and his wife told me I was pregnant. I had to go home, and I was like, I don't want to hear that when I was 15. I wanted him to kick Luger's ass after he won the U.S. title, But again, like stuff that you find out, I didn't know that after Bruno broke his neck, he was like, I don't want the title anymore. I need a break. Like, a break. I wasn't even a fan of I was a baby when that happened, but reading about it, you're like, wow. But then hearing about it on Bruno's documentary last year, you're like, oh, wow. Makes sense, right? So those are things that you know, just to build up the stories and having that perspective of it. When WWE does these rival things like I'm watching now, um, when they deep dive into a rivalry, right? In the moment, you don't. When you're a kid, there's certain things you won't see. Like I remember, there's a lot of kids that, like, I shouldn't say kids. They're grown men and women now. But when they were when they were in grade school 25 years ago, they didn't realize what was going on Monday nights, and when they finally had an idea, stuff was already done. I was in my 20s, and I was like, all right, I was invested, but I was going to ECW as well, and I was going to indie shows, and but these rivalries, when they dig. I like the perspective now of the performers, ones that are alive. Rest in peace, the ones that are passed on. But like, a lot of guys won't change their story. Like you talk to Jake Roberts, when you hear Jake Roberts talk, it's like he ain't changing the story. You know, Hogan changes the story. That's another podcast. I don't, but there's certain guys that just they found God, or they got old and sick, or they're bitter about the business. Someone said to me the other day when I posted about Wyndham and Rotundo getting into the Hall of Fame. What a Hall of Fame class this year you got so far. Wyndham and Rotundo, Paul Heyman, and Bull Nakano. How about that? I'm very excited about the Hall of Fame this year. But someone said, "Oh, that's another thing. That's what's the whole trigger. The whole Draper thing was the U.S. Express." I'm like, do you guys realize that whole card at the first WrestleMania could basically be in the Hall of Fame? Just as performers, that whole event can be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Just for the significance of what it costs to do it, the chance that Vince took, invested in it, and bet the farm on it. Come to find out, it was like his life savings and all this shit. He took a shot at it, and then became the granddaddy. It became the sports entertainment event of the ages. 40 years later, despite all of his shortcomings, it was the best thing he ever did. I mean, these are things that you look forward to. And when you were a kid, they came every year, and you're like, wow. And they built these stories, and like the whole thing with Savage winning the title with the tournament, and then him and Hogan becoming a team, then breaking up the team, and then, oh my God, I just watched the Sergeant Slaughter stuff, and I just seeing Slaughter talk about what his family went through after he won the title and then became an Iraqi sympathizer. Like, listen, man, my uncle was there, okay, my uncle was in Iraq at Desert Storm. My brother did two tours in the Middle East. My brother-in-law did a couple tours in the Middle East. Like, all Marines. As a 15-year-old, you're like, this is really messed up. As a almost 50-year-old, like, man, just to hear his family, what they went through with the whole death threats, and he lost his wife over it. Like, his wife and his wife broke up. I mean, they're still together, but they broke up because of it. Like, it was like insane, But these things you hold near and dear to you, and you look. This is why I still want to keep doing the podcast. You just hold that stuff near and dear to you. I was talking to my mom, and I was like, I can remember what you were wearing that night when I watched this or that. I can't remember what I had for dinner 2 days ago, but I remember who was in the room, whatever event we saw, or I can remember what we did that day. I could just remember all that shit. To have that memory, to have those memories just last a lifetime. And that's why I always look forward to the big events, because the build up to these things was so monumental to me. between the magazines and the weekly shows, and again, nothing was live except for the pay-per-view. Nothing was live. Everything was taped, was built up through house shows and whatever. And then, didn't have cable, so you had to rely on whatever resource you can get. And the perspectives are different of these magazines, and obviously the announcers were biased. Who's the heel announcer? Who's the face announcer? It's like, but it always told a good story. So I still have the discussion with people about why I still watch, and I always compare it to a ballet or a Broadway show. I'm like, this is how I look at it. I look at it as, how you guys would go to a Broadway show or a ballet or a play, and you say, well, so and so did really well as that character. So and so did really well as that character, and that's how I do it. So and so really did it well in the ring tonight, or didn't do well, Or so and so is gonna be good in the ring and is gonna have those matches, And so is too old and can't move like they used to anymore. But that's why I was so mad at Sting last week not mad at Sting, but I was mad that they did like the whole garbage death match shit with them in the Bucks, Understanding that story he told, understanding this was how Sting wanted it. I just would have hoped it would have been different, but they put him out, they put him over, and he went out on his own terms, and I love Sting. And even though I didn't want to see him in the ring the last couple of years of his life, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying it was just I wasn't good. It wasn't good or bad. I was just indifferent. I'm glad he went out on his own like that, So, and if you're a fan, if you're a good fan, and I've had this conversation already, being what is a good fan, and I'm not going to get into that again. But if you're a good fan, and I mean a good fan, like you will appreciate something out of whatever you're watching, out of an event, a TV show. You'll pick out something that's good and remind yourself of why you still watch and why you still pay attention and why you have the time to post hateful shit on social media about it, or don't post hateful shit on social media about it. That in itself is the whole basis of being a fan. We all mark out for our guys and girls. We do. We're marks. All of us. It's okay. Some people think it's a bad word. I don't think it's a bad word. I think it's a word that was initially used as negativity with the talent amongst themselves. But for us, it's like, if you want to be a mark for somebody, good. That means you're invested. That means you like that person. Who's your top 5? Who's your top 10? Who's in your Mount Rushmore? I like the Mount Rushmores of or people posting their top 5s or their top 10s. Mine might fluctuate. It'll be the same people, but depending on my mood, they may be number 4 instead of number 1 that week. But they're still the same guys. It's consistent. I'm consistent in terms of that. That's pretty much all I'm consistent about. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys. I'm going to make a video, and then I'm probably going to convert it. But I just wanted to come on and talk to you guys about this. And say hello, and I miss all you guys. And I don't know when I'm going to do another show. I just know that I still want to do it. But it's got to be on my terms, and it has to be with someone, hopefully, that I could vibe with and rock with. And if it's not, I have to do it on my own and do my due diligence and dig up the material and put some more stuff out. So please support all of the other endeavors on the Shining Wizards Network, especially the Wizards and whatever shows they have going on. There's a lot of good shows on there. There's links to everything on turnbucklethrowbacks.com. You can find me on social media. I'm not hard to find. If you want to email me, it's turnbucklethrowbacks1@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram. We're on X, is it called now? It's not called Twitter no more. I still call it Twitter. Gives a shit, right? We're on all that stuff. Hit me up. Let me know what you want to. Let me know what. Give me some good ideas for show topics. Maybe we'll revisit stuff that I've done already, and give my perspective instead of somebody else's, or do something that I haven't covered yet. But I want to hear from you guys, and like I said, I hope everybody's doing well. I miss you guys. Love you guys too. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. What's coming up? Let's see. We got Mania next month, but I think is anything else going on this month? Or just the New Japan Cup is going on, the tournament. I haven't watched any. I think it just started a couple of days ago, so I'll watch tomorrow. And this is the time on the way to work now, where I'm up at 5 in the morning. I'm going to work, and I can watch the tail end of it on the bus because it's live from Japan. So hopefully the next time I come on, I'll have a full report. But sincerely, hit me up. Don't forget to support my cousin Richie, spanning the globe. World of Belts every Thursday night on Facebook. They have they stream live through Facebook and on YouTube, so support those guys. And that's pretty much it, man. I'm out. Love you guys. Have a good rest of your week. And I'll talk to you soon. And keep watching wrestling. Watch all the wrestling you can, including the old stuff, because it's dope. Love you guys. Peace out.